You're braver than you believe, and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think.
Oh, that's easy. Chapter 3. The self-made illusion holding us back. A few months before I had the epiphany that everyone was naturally successful, and in fact, we are all designed to succeed, I got to see what the problem was which was holding most people back. I met the problem firsthand, as it was at the time holding me back too. I cover this in detail in the first few chapters of Creating a Bug-Free Mind, and you can get those chapters for free from the site abugfreemind.com. So I'll keep it short and sweet here, as I strongly suggest you get those free chapters. When we were children, we didn't have the weight of bad influences, wrong assumptions and a mistrust of our own feelings holding us back. We also didn't have a voice in our head that sounded like us and kicked us about like a bully. A byproduct of free thought is the entity we each allow to grow inside our minds called our ego. It speaks saying things to us like, "You're not qualified to get that job, they'll find you out," or "Your friends don't like you, they think you're lying," or "Your husband doesn't love you," or "You're ugly." If it's saying something nasty to you, it's not you, it's your ego. Basically, as we age, this entity second guesses our every move and drives us to distraction. The voice sounds like us, so we think it is us. The entity's job is to keep us safe, and it is made up of all your past experiences and the ingrained horrible outcomes you've seen and heard about. Your ego then jumbles that lot together with the life experiences from your parents and peers and delivers them back to you in an effort to stop you from making progress. Your ego sees progress as scary and so seeks to keep you safe by keeping you trapped in the past, which you have survived. So it knows that if you don't do anything new, then it will keep you safe. Unfortunately, we are creatures who are not satisfied with what we've had and want more. So internal conflict is inevitable. So we begin to fight our ego and attempt to move forward. As we do, our ego throws even nastier things at us to prevent us from moving. It'll tell us nasty things will happen to us if we take a chance. That if we go into business, then we'll end up as homeless. If we try and love someone, that they will let us down. That we deserve to be depressed, as we are such a bad person. Honestly, if this entity was a real person, you'd never go within a mile of them. But because we don't even notice the entity inside our own mind, because we think it's us, we then cannot control enough of our thoughts to create progress. As little as a single thought taking us away from what we desire can be enough to kill our dream. Can you see the importance of thought control now? Our ego is allowed to live because we are not the controllers of our thoughts. We have what I call chaotic thinking going on inside our heads and have no structure to stop the chaos and close our ego down. Just imagine what society would be like without the threat of the police and prison to keep us all in order. This structure allows us to survive and live in a society. Without this structure, we would descend back into the dark ages relatively quickly. Basically, we need structure in our lives. But no one has taught us that we need structure in our thinking too, which is why 99% plus fail to get what they desire. So why am I telling you about this little beastie? And what's he or she got to do with the law of attraction and mastering it? As I covered earlier, this is how the law of attraction works. To create what you desire with your thoughts, you have to have attained a state of mind where you have actually had it happen and felt it happen in your mind. And in that process, you become detached from it, because you have already had it. Then what happens is you work diligently on making that a reality for everyone else, as it is already a reality in your mind. And you keep going until you get there. This is how we create. This is what happens in the minds of people who succeed with the law of attraction. All successful people have that process go on in their mind and life. But this doesn't just apply to amazingly successful people. We are all successful in different areas of our lives. Plain and simple, ordinary folk are every bit as good with this as the ultra successful ones, just in different areas. And in the area we have been successful, then we applied the law of attraction correctly. In the areas we wish to succeed, then we are doing one or more bits of it wrongly. An ultra successful person may succeed in business, but not be able to succeed in a relationship with their husband or wife or their children. Whereas an ordinary person may struggle to succeed in the most basic business, or struggle to keep a job, but be fantastic in their relationships. We are all different. However, the structure for success in any area is the same, and therefore can be replicated by the person who masters the law of attraction. So the law of attraction is just a process. It's a law and has rules. Play by them and it works, fail to play by them and it fails. So that is why I know you can become a master of it. Now, if you've tried to get the law of attraction to work before and have found that it doesn't, then you're doing one or more of the bits wrong. Here's an example of the law of attraction not working in the mind of someone trying to succeed in getting rich. We'll call him Ben. What I'm about to show you is just one of countless examples of how chaotic thinking screws up getting what you want from the law of attraction. Ben says to himself, I'm going to use the law of attraction to get rich. Bring me $1 million by this time next year. Ben thinks he set a desire with his thoughts, but he has only come up with a vague wishy-washy idea of what he wants. He has set no desire, as a desire needs to be somewhere you've been with your mind. None of us have been somewhere that was wishy-washy. Ben also has no idea that his subconscious mind is what goes and creates what he wants when using the law of attraction, or that it needs to know precisely what the result he wants is. His subconscious mind has no idea what $1 million is. His subconscious mind has been given the instruction that Ben wants $1 million by next year. So his subconscious mind goes, okay, let's give him that. And Ben gets more of wanting $1 million by next year. He does not get the $1 million. He can't get the $1 million as he has not had the $1 million in his mind. He hasn't gone and lived it having happened. He's not been there. And so his subconscious has no idea what it means. Plus, he hasn't lived it. His ego says to him, that's never going to happen. So Ben doubts he'll get the $1 million. Now when doubt comes in, it kills the dream dead. But Ben doesn't know that. So Ben has heard that he must try and think positively to make this happen and says to himself, I believe I'm going to do this. To which Ben's ego says, no you don't. You know it's not going to happen. You're just kidding yourself like you have in the past. So Ben tries even harder to think positively and the ego continues to stick the boot in. Ben has limited energy and persistence. His ego has limitless energy and knows its job is to keep Ben safe. So Ben's ego is very motivated to hold him back. After all, if Ben becomes rich, then his ego thinks that his friends will no longer like him. Just so you know, trying to think positively will never work. This requires massive sustained effort and is almost impossible when you have your ego chucking rocks at you every minute of every day. But I've come off track. I cover positive thinking in the right way in the bug-free mind process. Ben's ego finds it easy to throw rocks at him as there's chaos going on in Ben's attempt to create $1 million using the law of attraction. Ben hasn't been specific about what he wants. He hasn't already had it in his mind. He doubts he's going to have it. He's fighting a war with his ego and not working on creating the $1 million. So what's he also doing wrong? Well, he's still attached to it happening. He needs it. He still wants it. Because he hasn't had it happen, there's no way he can detach from it, as that would go against what he wants and needs. The law's the law, and without detachment, the magic, the law, won't work. So he's trying really hard, but has missed a key ingredient, and the law needs all the ingredients. His desire hasn't happened in his reality, so he cannot detach from it and then just go to work on bringing it into everyone else's reality. It's not working, and Ben has no idea why it's not, as he's trying hard to make it work. He's attempted to manifest whilst attached, and like any law, it has rules. If you play by the rules, it works, and if you don't, it doesn't. So now Ben's complete lack of detachment means he cannot do the last bit of the process correctly. Ben's efforts are being used up in trying to make it happen and not making it happen. He cannot work diligently on making it happen because he's working on trying to make it happen. He is trying too hard, and as Yoda said, do or not do. There is no try. Here, there is some real truth in the line Homer Simpson said. Trying, in truth, is the first step towards failure. But as usual, there are problems with words, as we have been taught we must try hard to succeed. But what if that's wrong? And in fact, that is a way that guarantees failure. Could that be why so many people fail and so few succeed? Yet the ones who succeeded, they try really hard, right? No. They are detached and are just working diligently. You could call it trying, but they are not trying, they are doing. Only the unsuccessful keep trying. You may wish to consider that for a while. This brings up another point that you may also wish to consider. Words can be right and wrong. The same word can have multiple meanings and can be both good and bad. Words we use every day and think are wonderful can actually be disastrous words we should never even allow into our vocabulary. For example, the word hope is universally loved, but is actually one of the most success-destroying words in the world. I'm not going to come off track too much here, but as it's a little relevant to mastering the law of attraction, I'll cover just a bit on it. Ben is hoping that his use of the law of attraction will succeed, as he dreads the thought of it not succeeding. But his subconscious mind sees him hoping for something. That's the instruction Ben's given to his subconscious mind. So of course it delivers him more hoping next year. As your subconscious mind works to the law of attraction and gets Ben what it's instructed to get him, he has instructed his subconscious mind through chaotic thought to give him more hoping. He's done that really well by accident. What he hasn't done well is instructed his subconscious mind to bring the $1 million. If he did that, then it would do that instead. So as the year passes by, Ben probably gave up on that desire many months before, as it took way too much effort. Effort is another bad thing when used in the wrong direction. So Ben failed on the last element of it too. He didn't keep going until he got there. And it is totally understandable why he quit on his journey. His journey was a nightmare, not a reward. When you apply the law of attraction correctly, then the Chinese proverb is true. The journey becomes the reward. But when you apply it wrongly, the journey is a frustrating nightmare and is frankly way too hard. So Ben looks back and thanks to the help of his ego saying, "See, I told you this law of attraction stuff was just mumbo jumbo rubbish. It's not real. It's a con used by people to sell books. Why not go to the bar and have a few drinks, as you deserve something after all that effort you've put in?" Ben thinks he said all of that. And that was his conclusion. So he goes off to the bar and tells the story of how the law of attraction doesn't work. Now it's a law, and therefore always works. The law of gravity doesn't stop working because we're using it wrong. No, it's a law. The funny thing is, or rather the sad thing is, that his ego has sided against the law of attraction here. And yet, after a few months, weeks, or maybe only days of Ben's wallowing in his failure, his ego will say, "You need to learn how to use the law of attraction. That's what you're doing wrong, you loser. Go and buy a book on it and have another go." Yes, your ego is a turncoat. So Ben the puppet buys another book and gets his hopes up. Ben's ego says, "Well done for taking action and making progress in life," which of course Ben hasn't actually done yet. The book shows up and Ben's ego then says, "You haven't got time to read that book. After all, it didn't work before. Go and have a beer, you deserve it." A few weeks later, Ben's ego then says, "So you bought that book and you haven't even looked at it. You're such a loser. Go and have a beer and you'll feel better." Ben thinks all of that was himself saying it to himself, but it wasn't. Ben's ego has succeeded perfectly at keeping Ben trapped in the past and wallowing in self-pity. There is no chance that Ben's going to move forward now, is there? After all, Ben's ego has him in a great mind trap. It cracks the whip and makes him jump by dangling the carrot of wanting $1 million right in front of him. Then sends him back to the bar when he starts to make any progress. Now do you see why I had to explain the little saboteur that's sitting inside our minds? Because if we can see him or her, we can stop them. But we cannot fix what we cannot see. How my dumb goal worked. So how did I get my dream of becoming a millionaire in 2 years to work? As my use of the law of attraction to create money looks on the surface almost as dreadful as Ben's. When I set the desire, I saw me in a few years' time as the millionaire. I saw me living the lifestyle of someone rich. I did not see the toys, I saw the feeling. So lived and experienced how it would feel for me to become that millionaire. It felt really good, it felt right. It felt like I accomplished the prophecy my great uncle Dave had told me would happen. I didn't doubt it at all, because I 100% knew he was right, as I was destined to be a millionaire, and that this would work. So I went there and was there. I set myself the goal of 2 years because I thought that would be enough time to achieve it, but I'll cover a little on time later and how irrelevant it is. So I'd lived in my mind as the millionaire. It had happened in my reality. I felt the kudos of having achieved it. I felt the pride of being a millionaire, what I wanted to be for as long as I could remember. So I had it happen in my mind. So then I became detached from needing it. I was still attached to having it happen, but it had already happened in my mind. So I'd had it. Now, I was just bringing it into everyone else's reality. It felt right to make it happen, and essentially, it felt wrong to not make it happen. It was already a reality for me after all. So I set about working diligently on my chosen route to creating the riches. I didn't need to think positively about achieving my dream, as it felt right to make it happen. So I just worked on it diligently. I loved the journey, the successful steps, the pitfalls. And although I didn't know it at the time, I kept going on it until it happened. As it happens, that turned out to be just over 6 months, and another million 2 weeks after that. So was I smarter than Ben? No. I just used the tool we've all been given in the way it was designed to be used. I carved out the reality I had seen in my mind. I applied the rules of the law of attraction correctly. Ben is using the chisel to carve out a hole in his foot, in his hand, and he's dreading picking up the chisel again as he's really bad with it. Then Ben is blaming the tool for his own lack of craftsmanship. A bad workman blames his tools. So do you see now that if I can get you to use the tool in the right way, with the right mind, that it will be easy for you to become a master at the law of attraction? Consider this for a few seconds. Sure, there's some obstacles to remove before you can become the master craftsman. But can you see how, if we remove the obstacles you previously couldn't see, and use the tool in the right way, that you too can easily become a master? Consider how you becoming the master will make you feel for a few seconds, or for as long as you want to. So mastering the law of attraction is all about the details of the law. It's not one magic secret that fixes it. It's all about you understanding how the detail will trip you up. So you have to master that to become the master you can easily be. I can tell you now exactly how to use this tool right now, but if I do, then this is what will happen. You'll learn it and ignore it, and probably doubt it. The truth is, it is easier to teach this to an untarnished child than it is to teach it to a worldly worn adult. Because your ego will pull apart all the work I do. So I have to build your mental muscles before you can take on and defeat your ego when manifesting. Is that okay with you? Another problem is, we are taught not to believe in some things, and to doubt. Whereas a child doesn't have this baggage, so they'll accept it as the truth, without plenty of evidence. If you're anything like I was in my early 30s, and always looking for the catch, then you'll doubt that this will work, and therefore you'll be right. So first I have to get you past your doubt too, so that you can master the law of attraction. Is that okay with you? A still mind. Lao Tzu said, "To the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders." So we've got to give you a structured thinking technique to help you still your mind and begin silencing your mind. This is you taking back control on demand. In areas of your life you succeed at, you will already do this without thought. For the areas you struggle to succeed, we need some structure. Then after a while, it'll be automatic, as it is in the successful areas. So this may feel a little awkward to begin with, but this is just you reshaping your mind using brain plasticity. I suggest you decide to just go with it and see what happens. When you practice silencing your mind, at some point you attain no mind. It is when you literally think of nothing. No thoughts of any kind. The Zen people call this Satori, but that's far too clever for me, so I'll stick with no mind. This does not mean you're asleep or in a trance. No, you are just fully present, fully alert and fully aware. You will probably have experienced glimpses of this throughout your life, and they have passed probably without much notice. However, the technique of silencing the mind's chatter together with some of the other techniques which I'm about to show you will create the byproduct of no mind, in the same way as continued practice of the martial arts creates the byproduct of Qi. This no mind isn't something you have to be superhuman to get either. All it is you switching off your thinking. I've taught both my children to do this, so you can learn it too. Admittedly, they didn't have as much insane chatter going on as we adults, but there was still junk in their minds. When you decide you're going to bring in no mind, don't try, just bring it in, and silence your mind. I suggest you find your favourite spot in the house and that it is very quiet when you first do this, so that there are no external distractions. Once you do it, see how long you can hold it for. I play a game with David practicing how fast you can bring it in and how long you can hold it for. It takes him a few seconds to silence his mind before bringing it in, and he can usually hold it for about a minute, which is of course fine. In fact, the power of this is so great that once you can control it and bring it in on demand anywhere, you only need to hold it for a few moments to completely regain control and effectively restart your mind and have crystal clear thinking. I practice bringing in no mind in all sorts of conditions, on the train, in the car, in the shops, in a bar, while playing music, while playing heavy metal music. I kept practicing, and in the end there was no place that I could not still my mind in an instant. Now I haven't kept this up to that level, as I just don't need that level. But I trained hard enough that I could actually do that. No mind will just happen when you're ready. Don't struggle with it and don't force it. Just allow it to happen when you feel you would like to be able to. I suggest you keep returning to this piece, as if you get this and you can turn it on whenever you want to. Then you cannot not notice the immediate change in your reality. This hidden obstacle will never be invisible again. Spend plenty of time building your foundation. You can't put the roof on the house until you've built the walls, and your walls need to have a solid foundation. Quick side note. I've mentioned repetition already, but repetition is a master skill. People complain when I repeat things, but the skill of repetition is essential to learn. It's not the things we are yet to discover that will change our lives, but the things we have learned and ignored. Through repeating great stuff, you will acquire the great power. Do not be afraid to reread a good book instead of reading a new book. You're not missing out. In fact, you've already missed out. So it's time to go back and reread. If you struggle with the simplicity of just deciding to have a silent mind and hold it for a period of time, then there are several techniques to help attain this, which I share for free in the first few chapters of Creating a Bug-Free Mind. You can access them on bugfreemind.com. One thing I will say on No Mind before I leave this work: I consider silencing the mind to be the foundation skill to achieving anything you desire in life. In my Bug-Free Mind process, I get people to return back to mastering No Mind again and again until they master it. I'm not a person who meditates in the conventional way. I always saw it as taking up way too much time. However, I wanted the result that being a master of meditating would give me. So as I'm a very lazy person, I found a way through No Mind to get the benefit within a few seconds. If you are into meditating, then you may find this hard to believe, so don't believe me. Go and give it a go and see for yourself. If you're not into meditating, then trust me, this tiny little amount will be of unlimited value to you, so it is well worth your time mastering it. Consider this: it's pretty difficult to master the law of attraction if you're living in the waking sleep. So being able to silence your mind and become very present wakes you up and allows you to use the full focus of your mind's power. Your thoughts are not static. Before I leave this section, there's one more structured thought I need to give you for control of your own mind. We think we are standing still, but we are on a world that is spinning very fast, that is also travelling around the sun at phenomenal speed, which is also spinning around the galaxy at incomprehensible velocity, and it goes on. When you actually begin to look at how the universe works, both on a massive scale and on a micro scale, you find that nothing stands still. The same is true of your thoughts. Your thoughts either help you and take you towards your dreams and desires, or they hurt you and take you away from your dreams and desires. So no thought stands still. Now don't underestimate the power that this one little thought structure can bring to your life. Because when you master it, you obtain the power of only being able to think thoughts which help you. Can you imagine how easy it is for me to make the law of attraction work, as I only think things which help me? Thoughts which harm me have been trained to either never be there, or if they come up are noticed and are seen as useless and destructive, as they are clearly taking me away from my dreams. So as soon as they are noticed, they dissolve without any effort. Imagine that. All the things that harm you dissolving in an effortless way. Does that sound good? So consider these thoughts for a few seconds and notice and feel the direction they take you. I don't deserve to be rich. I deserve to be rich. I don't deserve to be loved. I deserve to be loved. I feel good. I feel bad. I love my life. I hate my life. It was easy, right? One thought goes the wrong way and one goes the right way. But because you have not been trained to notice them, you allow thoughts that hurt into your mind. Consider this. Do you think it will be easier to succeed with only thoughts that help, or with allowing thoughts that harm into your mind to mix around with the good ones and cause confusion? Is it easier to see why things go wrong when you allow negative thinking in? Because you are the one who has control of your mind. With structure to your thinking, you can now choose to not allow the bad thoughts to remain, if you choose to use the technique. And as I've said, it only takes one thought going the wrong way to kill a dream. I'm not going to cover any more on negativity here. It's covered in A Bug-Free Mind if you want to remove every shred of it from your life. But all you need to master the law of attraction is to understand and then practice not allowing any negative thinking at all in regarding what you wish to manifest. Aristotle said, "The aim of the wise is not to secure pleasure, but to avoid pain." By you avoiding the pain of negative thinking, you automatically, without any effort, secure pleasure in getting what you want. The work you must do is not to think positively about getting what you want, but work diligently on the removal of all doubt that you will. One more thing to understand is that your thoughts cause feelings. Without structured thought, your feelings are created by accidental or chaotic thought. But once you apply simple structure, as I've shown you above, if you want happiness, you have happiness. If you want love, you have love. You have the power to control all of this and all your feelings. Now, if you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're right too. As you are the architect, you are either controlling on purpose or allowing your ego to control by accident. This chapter gives you the power of choice. Previously, you had the illusion of choice. So now you can begin feeling whatever you want, even if it's not there yet, as you are the person who decides what thoughts go on in your head. But before we leave this, let's look just a little deeper at the power of structured thinking versus chaotic thinking.